Okay, so human design came into the world in 1987, so it's a fairly new body of work, and the system is sort of, I guess, accredited to a guy named Ra Uru Hu.
Okay.
Now, he was born Alan Krakauer in Canada, and at the time of sort of learning and understanding what human design was, he then took on this new name, which is what he was known as, and is now known beyond his death because he died in 2011, as Ra Uru Hu. So, Ra was this pretty interesting guy who was open to receiving what was a combination of Western astrology, the Chinese I Ching, the Hindu chakra system, the Kabbalah tree of life, and astronomy, biochemistry, genetics, and quantum mechanics. And so all of those things go together in way more detail than we could talk about in a short interview, to be able to kind of put together the most in-depth human profiling system I've ever found in all of my years of, personal and professional study. And I just find it phenomenal as a tool. Now, it does have a huge amount of detail, and just like as soon as you, if people know astrology well because it's been around for years, right? So you can, open up the newspaper or whatever, as we used to do when we were kids. Open up Google and look on a site that talks about astrology, right? And you might look up your sun sign and it might have one paragraph, right? But then if you talk to an astrologer, they're going to want your time of birth, and they're going to pull out like sun and moon and earth and north node and south node and all this detail, and they're going to tell you what it means for you for the next week. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's so much information. How can I do anything with that much information? And human design can be a little bit like that, which is why I approach that whole body of work differently than most people. And I look at what is the small amount of information that I can give you and you can start applying right now to make a change in your life in the area that's important to you. Right, so mostly I focus on serving women in business, and in a co-working space like Wood where Tribe Wanted was, that's perfect. And so we'll look at what are the different, energy field or aura types, and how does that mean that we're designed to play and work together, right? Because human design helps us to understand how we're different. So you and I, we know that we're different aura types, right? And this worked because you followed what was true for you, and I followed what was true for me, and then here we are. Now, it's so helpful to understand more about yourself and more about how you're different to the other, so then those relationships can flow well. Because when we're trying to be somebody we're not, life doesn't work very well. You get all of these bumps and all this resistance along the way. But for somebody to be able to know their type, strategy, and authority, three key fundamentals in human design, to understand what they are and what they mean and how to use them, that's what I focus on. Because if somebody can understand how they're naturally designed to interact with the other, how they're designed to start new relationships, and especially since business is simply a series of relationships, it fundamentally affects the way we're designed to build a business and grow it. And then authority looks at how we make decisions. So it's like, well, hang on, we were all taught to make decisions from our mind, write a pros and cons list. Some people are like, oh no, I'm just going to listen to my gut. But actually, there are about 8 different ways that the body is designed to make decisions. And yours may well be different to mine. I can't remember your chart off the top of my head. You're a generator?
Generator, sorry.
Yes.
You're a projector.
I'm a projector.
Just stole your one.
Yeah, all good. And and the way that we're designed to make decisions is likely to also be different. So, to be able to understand those key things about how this relationship can work with ease and flow, whether or not it's the right relationship, how we're designed to make decisions about anything we may or may not want to do together, and that stuff is key. It's key to any relationship, personal, professional, platonic, intimate relationships, family relationships. So I just think, human design gives you an ability to be able to have your own mini guidebook to yourself. So then you can work out how your life you know, as artist, as Caroline, as the you know, the person watching this, how your life is designed to work like with ease and flow for you. Because there are so many, you know, personal development experts, coaches, teachers, etc., who would say, well, this worked for me, therefore it must work for you. No, 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 no. We're different.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you to do the same things as me because we're here to do slightly different things in the world, right? And so, yeah, there might be some things around, well, everyone needs to get present and not beat themselves up with. Like, well, they can. You don't have to, but you can.
It would help.
It would help, right? But then the way that you choose to get present might be completely different to me, right? And some people will do walking meditations and others will do completely sitting still meditations. Some will do 5 minutes a day and some will do a 10-day Vipassana retreat. It's like, so all of us need to have relationships with other people. We're not designed to be islands. But again, the way that we do relationships, we're designed to do differently. The way we're designed to enter and leave relationships and the timing for those is different as well. So that's what I love about human design. You know, somebody can jump on, get their free chart and just go start to learn, like, what are the basics and how do I apply them?
Yeah. We had lots of aha moments during that session of, oh right, okay, that's why I talk that way or I approach new situations that way. It's very interesting and I'm very open to learning lots of different tools and yeah, I found it fascinating, so thank you for introducing that to us. I think maybe that might be a good segue onto what we were talking about earlier about the misconception of coaches, having it all figured out. You know, you've got this human design tool that you utilise very, very well, and that works for you, and I'm sure you've got a wealth of other strategies, tools, whatever name you want to give them, but you don't have it all figured out, do you?
And I'm never going to have it all figured out. Like, and thank you for bringing it back to this, because I think this is fundamentally so important. When I first started playing in the personal development industry and I started seeing speakers on stage, there was still so much of the person who has it on stage has it all sorted. The person who is the teacher, the speaker, the author, there's so much secrecy, there's still so much pretending to have it all together. And so I was seeing that from so many of the speakers that I was seeing on stage, that they were doing a great job of performing. And they were making sure that they were teaching all the stuff that they had sorted, right? I'll teach you about how to get out of debt after I've got completely out of debt and made my first million. But I won't say anything about money until I'm up to that point. Because, and you know, I think it's because it makes people really feel really vulnerable, right? It's like, if we're real, somebody might criticize us, right? So let me be perfect, so then I never get any criticism. But it's completely disempowering for the person who sits on stage who says, oh, well, I'm not a success until I have that. My life isn't all together until I look like that. But the way that I love coaching and teaching and writing is through sharing the bits that I have got sorted and the bits that I haven't got sorted, and help people realise that you can still be amazing and a mess.
I love that.
Right? It's like, we're not here to be perfect. Like, we're in this human body. I always say this. When you're in the formless, when you're in the nothingness, before you're born and after you die, you get to be perfect there because you're not in form. But right here, we're in human form. Human form equals messy. Human form equals imperfect.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think this whole thing about like, oh, I can't release the book until it's perfect. I can't speak on stage until I've completely done away with my fear of public speaking. I can't, you know, get married until I'm this size. I can't do this until this. Like, I know that the best way for me to teach that is for me to be as raw and real and vulnerable as possible. So I love this idea that you can be amazing and a mess, and I give myself full permission to be amazing and a mess, right? So then it's like, if I show up to do an interview, it's like, well, what can I share and how can I be amazing in this space? But if I felt like shit 10 minutes beforehand, it's like, okay, well, that's called having a human experience, right? And I don't have to pretend that everything is happy and perfect all the time, because actually that doesn't actually serve anyone, and it doesn't make me very healthy either. Like when we go and try and hide everywhere where we're not perfect, we're not very balanced, we're not very whole, we're trying to hide away from our shadow, and it's completely disempowering for other people that watch, you know. So I'm a big fan of this, you know, be fully in your light, be a shining light for others, but also go, oh yeah, I've got some black back here, I've got some darkness, some shadow back here. Well, you're in your shadow right now. Do you need to hear about some of my shadow? Right? And I do it all the time with clients, you know, that I will be sharing about my experiences of where I've tripped and I've fallen and what I did in the process and whether that thing worked for me. Do they want to try it on for size? Might it work for them? Have they got a different way now that they've heard my story that could empower them? So I'm a big fan of any personal development teacher, writer, speaker, coach who shows some of their shadow, who talks about the bits that are hard. Not like 5 years ago and now they have it all sorted, but like 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. But it takes courage.
Yes. Yeah.
It really does. It takes courage. And it means that you have to be okay with being vulnerable. And it takes a lot, I want to say it takes a lot of self-love, because when somebody criticizes and shows that they clearly don't love who you are, you need to be able to come back to yourself and go, oh, you're one of those people who doesn't love me. Well, that's nice. I love me. So I'll be over here being amazing. And if you don't love me, that's cool. But you go find somebody else who you do love and you go hang out with them. And I'll be hanging out over here either with me or with other people who love me and think I'm amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think, and that's what's so exciting about this space that we're in now. I think so many people can feel it, where there is this shift from everyone operating in silos and creating this kind of false persona, and everyone's like stripping that down now. We're all realizing that we're one and the same. It's becoming so much more collaborative, and I think that's why it's so great to be in a space like Bali, where that is really, really nurtured. And we're not afraid anymore. Like I completely appreciate what you say. It takes courage, and that's what really inspired me to do this series as well. That we don't have it figured out. Like I said in my first video, I most definitely don't have it figured out. I am scared a lot of the time, but I'm also elated a lot of the time, and it's a fantastic journey to be on, and it makes it so much more real, beautiful, and yeah, I really, really, I love what you've said about that there. So